Hello folks, I'm Rodney Hathaway, Chief Investment Officer here at Waukesha State Bank Wealth Management, and welcome to our January edition of Market Chats. As we launch into 2026, all eyes are focused this week on the World Economic Forum, taking place in Davos, Switzerland. This annual conference, which began in 1971, brings together over 3,000 of the world's top business executives and political figures to discuss a wide range of topics around economic growth and government regulations, as well as societal and climate impact. We perused the topics of discussion at the conference, and one theme looked especially interesting. The title of this theme is, How Can We Unlock New Sources of Growth? It is projected that global growth will be 3.1% this year, considering that the entire global economy is roughly $104 trillion a year. 3.1% growth implies that $3.2 trillion of value will be added in 2026. To put this in perspective, $3.2 trillion is roughly the size of France's annual GDP output. But you may ask yourself, why is growth important? Why do we as investors or economists put so much emphasis on economic growth? In fact, I had this very conversation with my 24-year-old daughter over the holidays. She asked me, why do we have to continually be focused on growing? Before I answered her question, however, I had to take a step back and view the world through the lens of a 24-year-old young woman. Now, I emphasize young woman because I have 4 daughters ages 19 to 24, and believe me, my daughters do not always see the world as I do. It's neither good nor bad that they have this difference of perspective. It's just different, and I respect that. The simplest answer I gave my daughter as to why economic growth is important is because it helps pull humans out of the state of poverty. Now, I suppose you can debate any topic, but I believe that most people would agree that bringing down the poverty rate around the world is good and a benevolent exercise. What you may find interesting is that prior to the 1800s, around 90% of the world's population lived in a state of poverty, as defined as income of less than $1 a day, inflation adjusted. Over the past 2 centuries, that number has plummeted to around 10% today. There are several factors that can be credited as to why, in the 10,000 plus years of recorded history, that only in the last 200 years have we seen this unprecedented improvement in the general standard of living of the human population. I posit to you that the primary driver behind this improvement has been due to the Industrial Revolution that began in the late 1700s in England and gained huge momentum in the United States in the late 1800s. I will also suggest that both key legs of the Industrial Revolution originated in countries that espoused rule of law, which allowed capitalism to flourish, namely Great Britain and the United States of America. GDP growth in the U.S. for the third quarter last year was 4.3%, well above recent trends, and we expect there will be an economic tailwind for the foreseeable future. So while reporters and social media may be fixated on President Trump's comments in Davos on the acquisition of Greenland, we believe the real story for 2026 will be an acceleration of growth and its implication on the capital markets. As always, we would love to have a more in-depth discussion with you on this topic of economic growth, so please reach out to one of our advisors. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to our Market Chat video with you next month.